But there are some more points which I was supposed to stress on the transport connection. Okay. So if the objects are stored in $TMP, can we transport the object? No. That is one. And you know about releasing and importing. Okay. You just bundle the objects into a tier and you release it and you import the same in the quality system. Okay. For example, let's say we are working in a development project. So during the developments, we never planned any tiers. So what you do is you're developing a lot of objects. Everyone, let's say I'm creating some cubes and you're creating some cubes, and let's say there's a team of 5, they're doing a different set of objects. Everyone have blocked their objects into different tiers. So I will not consider those tiers for transports. Let's say I had different set of objects which I already blocked into different tiers, but I don't want to take those into consideration for transporting things. So I would like to clean all those tiers, release the objects from those tiers, freshly collect the objects into new set of tiers, and then use it for transporting those. Okay. So what you do is, say you have a tier where objects are logged for it. For example, I go to this transport connection tab and I have this cube. So now if you refresh, you see all the objects are logged into some request. But question is, for example, if I go to SC09, I see this tier which has got lots of objects have been logged into this. So during development, you kept on collecting that into some dummy request like this. Yeah. Now I would like to free up this, because unless I free this, I cannot collect those objects into new tier. So question is, how do you delete these objects from this? How to delete the objects assignment to this task? That's important. So this is 9. So what you do is, you go to SC03. Okay. And you have something called request or task, and you got something called unlock objects. Double click on this. This is your task number. Just take this task, unlock the objects under this task, take this task, unlock the objects, take your request, unlock it. Now once it is unlocked, okay, you just double click on this task first, say change, say select all, and then say remove this. So save there. Then double click on this task and say change, select all, and say remove this. So I've removed all the objects from this task. Now just delete this task, delete the other task, and then go about deleting the TRs. So like this, you can unlock the objects from whatever that question. From SC, let's say you collected all the objects into some tier and you want to freshly collect into new tier. So I need to unlock it and remove those objects from the tier. So you go to SC03, you will unlock those tasks and the request, then go about deleting them. Then now, if you go to RSA1, and if you see these cubes, they are not there in that object. So is it locked under any TR bus now? Like this, you can free up the objects from a TR also by using SC0. Okay, good. And next question he would ask you is, say for example, I have cube. I have already transported this cube to quality, to the next system. Now for new requirement, I have modified this cube by adding a new info object bus. So what is the sequence you will follow in transporting the these changes? Because when you select the cube and right click say change, since this object was already transported, it does prompt you for a TR. So all the changes get recorded into this particular TR. So with the help of the TR, you can move the changes. Now, is there anything which is prerequisite before this? The cube already it was moved. Now I have added a new info object. I have created a new info object in the system. Then added that to the cube. So when I create new info object, it will be in $TMP because it does not. That's a new object. But when I go about changing the cube, it prompts me a request, and the changes are recorded to that request bus. But the request will not have my info object. So only changes of the cube goes in, but it will still fail, saying RC8 at them. Normally you get 0 or written code 0 is successful, 4 is warning, and 8 is failure. And this TR would fail if you just send the changes. Why? The changes of the cube can only happen when this new info object is available. So what I do, first I should have a TR which sends my info object. Then the TR of the cube changes should go. So we have a dependency while transporting also. So they ask you a question, which one will you move first? Okay. ఎక్కడ బుక్లో అంటే ఎక్కడ నీకు చెప్పలేను అన్నట్టు అంటే యూ షుడ్ ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ ఇన్ఫార్మేట్ బిఫోర్ క్యూబ్ దర్ ఇస్ నో ఫిక్స్డ్ రూల్ లాజిక్ ఎట్లుండాలంటే యూ షుడ్ ఫీల్ యాజ్ ఇఫ్ when you see transporting objects to quality, you should feel as if you are creating that object in the quality bus. So if you look at creating the object in the quality, do you create info object first or do you do the cube changes first? So I'll have transporting info object is nothing but getting that info object created in the quality, and transporting cube changes is nothing but you're doing some changes into the quality cube there. What I'm say. So I've got BW, let's have create info objects. I've created info array, info object catalog, info objects cube. Then I've got info source, transformations, data source, transformations, then info package, all this. Now, do you have any sequence which we need to follow? Yes. If you create that in quality, in what sequence do you create? I focus on the same sequence for even transporting object. And the info array, info object catalog, info objects cube, info source, transformations. Can you move transformations without info source and cube? So first cube elupalla, info source elupalla, then the transformation elupalla. So obviously, but I can still go about collecting the entire bundle into one and then send also. కొన్ని projects they will be very specific on ఒక టిఆర్ ఒక ఆబ్జెక్టే తీసుకెళ్ళాలి అంటే సెట్ తీసుకెళ్ళాలి మొత్తం కావద్దు క్యూబ్స్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్మేషన్స్ ఇన్ఫోస్ అలా తీసుకెళ్ళాలంటారు. అలాంటప్పుడు యూ షుడ్ బి కేర్ఫుల్ ఆన్ నువ్వు క్వాలిటీ క్యూబ్లు ఎలా క్రియేట్ చేస్తే ఎలా ఉంటుందో అలాగనే ఫీల్ కావాలన్నమాట. యూ షుడ్ ఫీల్ యాజ్ ఇఫ్ యూర్ క్రియేటింగ్ దిస్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ ఇన్ ది quality system, it does go in the same sequence. That's the point. Okay, good. Okay, now can we transport source distant connections? Source distant connection transport no. So I told you in the receiving system, where do you do the mapping? The receiving system. We'll have option like tools, conversion of logical systems. That's where you do the mapping between source and target. So connection names. Okay, that is important. ఇప్పుడు లాజిక్ ఏంటంటే ఇది సో ఐ హ్యావ్ ల్యాండ్స్కేప్ లైక్ దిస్ ఫోకస్ బికాస్ అన్ని చెప్పినా ఇది చెప్పకపోతే దొరుకుతాం. అది పాయింట్. let's take only two, dev and what is this, quality. So this is your BW objects and this is your ECCs. And do we have the configuration done between this development quality in which one? In the 000 client we would configure all the landscape. Same way we'll have landscape configuration in ECC also. Avana? Ante And how will this ECC development will be connected to BW? RFC. ఇట్లా మొత్తం లింక్ ఉంటుందన్న. ఓకే. So let's say for this it is R3 dev is my connection name. Here the connection between my quality ECC and quality BW is like say R3 QTY. So since this cannot be transported in the quality system, in the receiving system you would say mapping saying R3 dev is equal to R3 QTN, you will map it. So this all will be set up already here. Now thing is that you would have done like this. Let's say you created data source, generic data source in ECC. You replicate the data source with what? Sorry. With the connection name is R3 dev, and you created a cube and you create some transformations, info package, DTP, all this. This flow. Mattam flow ettala. Because the demo example what I showed was with the flat file. Flat file doesn't have any source, so I was just transporting everything in BW only. Now if I need to move all this, the entire flow into this quality environment, do I need to do some transports in ECC also?
Yes.
And some transports in BW also. ఇప్పుడు నువ్వు ఈ ఫ్లో క్వాలిటీకి దొబ్బాలి. నువ్వు చెప్పు, you should give me the sequence now. First which one will you transport? ECC. అంటే నువ్వు ఎట్లా క్రియేట్ అంటే you should feel as if you're creating the same in the quality and give me the sequence now. So first you will transport my data source from ECC to ECC development, ECC quality same. Now అప్పుడు అలా అయితే if it is BW, you know, you go to RS7, transport connection type, collect the objects into request. But in ECC, how will I collect my data source into a TR? That's the point. If it is ECC, how will I collect the TR into how will I collect the data source into TR? So you'll have T code RSA6, which can help you to collect the data source into transport request. Now, నాకు ఇక్కడ ECC down ఉంది, but even BW also will have T code RSS6. I can show you from here also. ఏం పీకినారా ఏమన్నా? What did I? So I want to show you RSS6. Now just select your data source name and look at this here. TR. You can change this to what? Package and say save, and it collects. So now if you go to SC09, you see the data source. Okay. Suppose if your data source has got any data source enhancement, your TR should contain the data source along with the changes of your CMOD project also. So data source will go, even the CMOD project changes should go. Okay. So then when you transfer, what happens? The DS, again, once you get the request, release and import in the ECC systems. Okay. Now data source will come into what? ECC. Then what should I do?
Activate data source.
Already, once data source comes in, it's ready. And then what? You should do replicate in the quality, but I can also, instead of doing replication, even the replication can be collected as a TR and then moved. Replication also can be moved as a TR. So cube, data source, transformations, DTP, info, package, everything I'll move from what? I can bundle everything into single request and move it from BW, or I can go with cube, info objects and cube once, data source once, transformations once, info package, DTP, I can move it. Then the flow is completely clear on this. You should remember, get this point, very, very important. Next point is, suppose, can I transport BEX queries? Yes, we can transport BEX queries also. And one more question is, let's say after I transport this cube to quality, can I change this object in the quality system? But generally for info package we allow it for changeability. Means even after the object is been transported to quality, Because we tend to keep changing some selections or something in the info package or cancelling init, rerunning init, delta. We want to allow, even if it is production system, we want to allow my user consultants to keep modifying it info package bus. So while transporting object, where do I do the setting that this type of object can be changeable, this object cannot be changed అనేది ఎట్లుంటుందంటే here. When you go to RSA1, transport connection, there's something called here, what is object changeability. Now they don't change, generally only for info package what it say, after I move it is not changeable, so I would like to set the changeability change to what, changeable original. So even after moving this info packages to quality, you'll be able to change the info package setting straight away in quality. Others you can't, others you'll have to move it. Okay boss? What I want to do, after I moved all my objects to next is called production, I see some transformations been inactive. How will you activate them? Manam company right click activate ante ethipenatte. No. We'll in the development BW we'll activate the transformations, bundle into tier, move the tier. This tier will go to production and activate the transformation. Sometimes if it is very critical, it is really taking time to transporting the changes. They'll open the system. We'll take the help of the basis and they'll open the production system. Production open anta floor anta kit anta risk anata. If they're opening production, you can do any changes, right? And you modify it straight away in production. Or they'll have something called firefighter access. Okay. They'll give you some user ID who can really do changes in the production also. For real critical scenarios, you log in through firefighter and then fix the issue also. Okay. పోతుంది అదే ఇప్పుడు మోర్ యాక్టివ్ ఉంటుంది. సపోజ్ నా క్యూబ్ ఇస్ ఆల్రెడీ మూవ్, ద ఫ్లో ఇస్ యాక్టివ్. Now you done the changes to the cube. You never bothered about transformations. You moved it and the quality, now cube changes have gone. Normally when the cube is changed, automatically the transformation get inactive. Even in the quality it gets inactive. One scenario ikkada endante point, we have done some improvement here. My role was to streamline the systems. So there was every Thursday we have transport window. By this time evening, European time, Indian timing, all the transports are moved and we go home. By the time we come in the morning, all the loads in the night, we used to have huge number of failures, 80, 90 failures under that. Every week the maintenance team keeps doing some changes. They keep pushing those changes to production system but they can push only on Thursday. Every Thursday they'll have a transport window where the changes come in. But because of the changes, they are not doing quality development. They really forget about activating DTPs. They forget about activating transformation. Most of the objects become inactive in my production system. So I would never know which one gets inactive. So I would go home and a lot of failures used to happen. And then by the time I come in the morning, I used to see a lot of failures. Again I used to raise an issue to maintenance team. They collect one more tier by activating all those inactive objects. Then they move it. Again the objects get activated. Then I need to repeat the process wherever it is failed. That is what I used to do manually. Now when I say I am trying to provide some stabilized system, I should not see an error at all. Okay. So what we have done is we have developed one ABAP program which will just run through the system and finds out inactive objects for me. ఒక అబాప్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ రాసి మొత్తం సిస్టంలో ఏదైనా ఇన్యాక్టివ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ ఉన్నాయా, ఉంటే దిస్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ వాస్ బీన్ మూవ్డ్ విత్ విచ్ టీఆర్ కూడా పట్టుకుని వీఆర్ గివింగ్ ఎ లాగ్. సో బై థర్స్డే 5 o'clock ఆల్ మై ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ విండో ఇస్ క్లోజ్. సో ఆల్ ద ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్స్ have been done. At 5:10 one of our consultant will run that program which will list out all the inactive objects for me. Before I go home, I'm running this program, checking to see if there's any inactive objects. I'm giving that list of inactive objects back to the maintenance team so that they fix that issue right now, so that the loads in the night will not fail. Is it in process improvement? నువ్వు రెజ్యూమ్లో ఇప్పుడు ఎందుకు చెప్పినట్టు రెజ్యూమ్లో పెట్టాలి. I was involved in developing an ABAP program tool which is configured to find out all the inactive objects and పెట్టాము. జనరల్ లాజిక్ ఎట్లుంటుందంటే there will be lots of standard tables for each. అంటే ఇప్పుడు క్యూబ్స్ ఉన్నాయి, క్యూబ్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఒక టేబుల్లో ఉంటుంది, ఆర్ఎస్డి క్యూబ్ అని, ఆర్ఎస్డి ఓడిఎస్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ అని ఇంకో టేబుల్, ఆర్ఎస్ఐఎస్ ఇన్ఫో సోర్స్, ఆర్ఎస్డి రూ సోర్స్ డేటా సోర్స్, లైక్ యూ హ్యావ్ లాట్స్ ఆఫ్ స్టాండర్డ్ టేబుల్స్ విచ్ మెయింటైన్స్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ అబౌట్ క్యూబ్స్, డిఎస్ఓస్, ఇన్ఫో ప్యాకేజ్ అన్నీ ఉంటుంది. ఇట్స్ వెరీ సింపుల్, యూ కెన్ జస్ట్ గెట్ టు గూగుల్, you can say SAP BW, useful important tables and వస్తుంది. If you just get in, he does give you all the system tables, repository tables starting with RS. You'll have a lot if you give them RSTS transfer structures. You'll have update rules, info package details, process chain details, queries details. You got RSDQ for cubes. There is a list of lots of tables like this. మనం అన్నీ గుర్తుపెట్టుకోము, కొన్ని చదివితే కొన్ని మర్చిపోతే కొన్ని ఉంటాయి. సో ఈ టేబుల్స్ వాడి ఆ ప్రోగ్రామ్ రాసినామని చెప్పి. సో ఐ వాంట్ టు సీ హౌ మెనీ ఇన్యాక్టివ్ క్యూబ్స్ ఆర్ దేర్. ఏముంది, RSD cube will give me that. So in RSD cube, version comparison unto you will have something called object version here. If you basically say A active and M is modified, so if you see anything modified, and ఇది యాక్టివ్ మోడిఫైడ్ రెండు ఉంటాయి. సో ఏ ఇండికేట్స్ యాక్టివ్ అండ్ ఎన్ ఇండికేట్స్ మోడిఫైడ్. ఇట్లా యూ కెన్ ఫైండ్ అవుట్ ఈజ్ ఎనీ ఇన్యాక్టివ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ యూ కెన్ చెక్ ఇన్ త్రూ ప్రోగ్రామాటిక్లీ యూ కెన్ లిస్ట్ అవుట్. సో ఇంకా ఏంటంటే దే ఇంప్రూవైజ్, దట్ ఈస్ వాస్ ఫస్ట్ లెవెల్ ఆఫ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్. వి ఇంప్రూవైజ్ దట్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ వేర్ ఇట్ గెట్స్ అ లిస్ట్ అండ్ ఆటోమేటిక్ సెండ్స్ ఈమెయిల్ టు ది మెయింటెనెన్స్ హెడ్ దట్ దీస్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ హెవ్ బిన్ ఇన్యాక్టివ్. ఇంకేముంది, they'll do a correction tier where they collect all the inactive objects and they move it. So my night loads that doesn't fail, of course. Is it an improvement? Improvement, and it's like focusing on streamlining the system. Dumpలు కానీ ఎర్రలు కానీ అసలు నా సిస్టంలో ఉండకూడదు అన్న, అది పాయింట్. ఓకే బస్. And one more point about Beck's query. Now say I have a cube. I have already transported my cube to production. Now I do changes to the cube. How will you move the changes? When I do changes to the cube, it automatically prompts a TR and you give it, and all the changes gets recorded to it. But if it is query, let's say it's a new query, you go to transport connection tab, collect the Beck's query into TR and release and import. Once my query has been transported, if you try changing your Beck's query in the Beck's query designer, it does not prompt. There are two different ways of implementing. They can configure TR such a way that when you change your Beck's query, it does prompt your TR. So all the changes gets recorded, Beck's query changes gets recorded to. That is one way of configuring. That depends on configuration. So if they have not configured that way, when you do changes in the Beck's query designer, it does not prompt any request. Then where does the changes get stored? Another question. Got what I'm saying? Once my query has been transported to production, now you're trying to do changes to the Beck's query. In some projects, it will be configured such a way that when you do changes to the Beck's query, when you do keep doing changes to the query in the query designer, it does prompt a TR. Same itla vastundi. So when you give a TR, the changes of the query gets recorded to the TR in some implementation under configuration button. There could be configuration where it does not prompt anything. If it is not prompting, then where is my changes getting recorded? That's the question. Clear? So when you go to transport connection tab, in those cases, there's something called Beck's standard request. You maintain something called Beck's standard request. When you get in, just select, this is already assigned. Let me remove this out. What does it say? Activate and package is ZBW. And you create some request and select this request and say assign. Now this request is set as what? Standard BEX transport request. Now when you do changes to the query in the query designer, it does not prompt you anything. But all the changes what you're doing in the query designer will gets recorded to this particular tier. We call this BEX standard transport request. And it depends on configuration of the landscape, the transport configuration. If they configure it such a way that even if you're doing changes to the query in the query designer, it does prompt request, that's okay. That's a different case. If it is not prompting, then you have to, as long as you don't maintain this, it does not allow you to do changes to the query designer. Sorry, cannot do changes. Sorry, cannot do changes. Only after you maintain this BEX transport request tier, it does allow you to do changes, and change gets collected to this tier. You just have to say what delete, and then go to SC09, release this 28 request, and import the 28 request where the changes of the BEX query are moved to next system. So did you understand this BEX standard transport request?
If you do more than one, it comes at
all query changes into the same BEX standard request. ఇప్పుడు కొంతమందికి ఎలా ఉంది, సో దర్ ఆర్ డిఫరెంట్ పీపుల్ వర్క్ ఆన్ డిఫరెంట్ ప్రాజెక్ట్స్. నీ ప్రాజెక్ట్ వేరే, నా ప్రాజెక్ట్ వేరే అనుకో, అప్పుడు వాట్ దే హ్యావ్ డిఫరెంట్ ప్యాకేజెస్ హియర్. ZBWకి ఒక రిక్వెస్ట్, అగైన్ ఐల్ యాడ్, ఐల్ గివ్ అ డిఫరెంట్ ప్యాకేజ్ ఫర్ మై ఓన్ ప్రాజెక్ట్, దల్ బి డిఫరెంట్ టియర్, అసైన్ దట్. అప్పుడు ఏంటంటే ఒక్కో ప్యాకేజ్, సపోజ్ BEX query was changed in ZBW, the changes will get into this tier. If my package is my query is in a different package, that gets into different tier. At divide చేసుకుంటాం. Okay, boss? You said version management, right? Actually, it has to go with, ఇక్కడ మనకు ఉండదు, బట్ అంటే మీకు అబ్యాప్లో ఉన్నట్టు లైన్ బై లైన్ కంపేర్ చేసి ఏం చెప్పదు. ఇక్కడ ఇది మన చేంజెస్, కానీ ఇట్లా కూడా చూపిస్తుంది ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ ఎట్లుండింది ఇన్ఫో, కానీ నాకు కంపారిజన్ ఉండదు అన్నట్టు. మీకు అబ్యాప్లో ఉన్నట్టు లైన్ బై లైన్ కంపారిజన్ ఉండదు. ఈ వర్షన్కి ఏముంది ఆబ్జెక్ట్, ఈ వర్షన్కి ఏముంది డెఫినేషన్ చూపిస్తుంది అంతే. అందుకని మనకి ఇట్లా కంపేర్ ది వర్షన్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ విత్ ప్రొడక్షన్ డెవలప్మెంట్ అని అట్లా లేదు ఆప్షన్. సో రియల్ టైంలో సమ్టైమ్స్ కంపేరింగ్ దిస్ ఆల్సో పెద్ద ప్రాజెక్ట్ అన్నట్టు. మొత్తం ప్రొడక్షన్ని బిడ్డలు కంపేర్ చేసి ఇది అట్లా లేదు, మళ్ళీ చేంజ్ చేసి మళ్ళీ ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ చేసి. సో ఐ థింక్ విత్ దిస్ యూ షుడ్ బి ఏబుల్. If you ask you did you work for transport connection, you can never say ignore. Yes, I've done it. But you can say in real time, generally you will not be able to import it. Generally releasing untundi, importing generally it will be handed over by basis person. Generally, you say I was involved in bundling, releasing. Inka no importing gurinchi kuda cheppukovalanటే I imported to quality, but production it was all taken care by basis. Okay, boss. And even in the support, in implementation project, even in support project, let's say you get some ticket from the user. But this key figure is showing 4 decimal places, but I want it 200. So will that be a change? You get that as a ticket, but that becomes a change here, and you do the change and you transport it. So you need to get approvals from different people that this tier has got this change. I'm going to move this on this Thursday. దాని క్యాబ్ అని ఒక మీటింగ్ ఉంటుంది, పెద్ద మీటింగ్ పెట్టింటారు అనమాట. అంటే ఈ వారం ఏమేమి ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్, థర్స్డే కదా, బై ట్యూస్డే ఇట్ షుడ్ గెట్ అప్రూవ్డ్. సో బై ట్యూస్డే దిల్ ఫార్ములేట్ ఎవ్రీ టియర్ విచ్ హెస్ టు గో ఇన్ దిస్ థర్స్డే. ఒక్కో దానికి ఇది ఎందుకు పోతుంది, ఏం చేస్తుంది, ఇది దీనివల్ల మనకి ఏం బెనిఫిట్, ఇదేం దెబ్బతీస్తుంది. బికాస్ దేర్ వరీడ్ యువర్ టియర్ క్యాన్ గో అండ్ డిస్టర్బ్ ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ ఇన్ ప్రొడక్షన్. సో ఆ అప్రూవల్ వస్తే ఆన్ థర్స్డే యువర్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ ఈజ్ మూవ్డ్. అర్థమైందా? సో వన్స్ యూ మూవ్ ఇట్, యూ క్లోజ్ అ టికెట్. అప్పుడు యూజర్ కానీ ఫోన్ చేసి, బాస్ మేము ఇట్లా పెట్టిన చేంజెస్ ఆర్ మూడ్, క్యాన్ యూ ప్లీజ్ చెక్ అండ్ క్లోజ్ అ టికెట్. సో యూ ఇనిషియలీ ద ఇష్యూ స్టార్ట్స్ విత్ అన్ రిక్వెస్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ అ యూజర్ యాజ్ అ టికెట్, అండ్ ద టికెట్ బికమ్స్ ఇంటూ సిఆర్ ఆర్ చేంజ్ రిక్వెస్ట్, అండ్ దెన్ యూ హ్యాండిల్ దట్. అట్లా వెళ్తూ ఉంటుంది రియల్ టైం. అర్థమైందన్నా? అప్పుడు సో వెన్ యూ డూయింగ్ దోస్ సిఆర్స్, యూ హ్యావ్ టు మూవ్ ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్, డూ ద డెవలప్మెంట్, దెన్ ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ టు క్వాలిటీ, దెన్ టు ప్రొడక్షన్. అట్లా ఇంకా రిటర్న్ కోడ్స్ అడుగుతాడు. రిటర్న్ కోడ్ 04 ఆ మీనింగ్ తెలుసుకోవాలనుకున్నా. అబ్బా ఎందుకు ఇట్లా అవుతాం.
ప్యాకేజ్ ఓకేస్ జెడ్బిడబ్ల్యూ ఒకే ప్యాకేజ్
జెడ్బిడబ్ల్యూ ఏదైనా ఉండొచ్చు నేమ్
FISD
అట్లా అట్లా మాకు ప్రాజెక్ట్ ఒక్కో ప్రాజెక్ట్ ఒకటి అన్నట్టు. SC09 డిస్ప్లే ఉన్న డమ్మీ రిలీజ్ చేస్తున్నాను, ఏం లేదు నాకు కదా. I know there is no configuration. Actually, log కొట్టినప్పుడు yesterday other day I showed you when there is log I was expanding some plus marks and then I was getting details. అక్కడ ఒక దగ్గర you see like small text like symbol. When you click that, it show a help document, saying RC0 is successful, RC4 is warnings, RC8 is error, and there will be different RC codes. If you get something like 12 and greater than 12, that is in extreme case where the connections are broken. That will not happen in the real time. General real time you get 0, 4, 8. 0 is successful, 4 is warning, 8 you missing out some dependents. And even if failure in the log of the TR, it tells you these objects are missing, the dependencies of this object have not come in, you will get those errors.